What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Man Listen. We got a fun one for you today. It's been a minute, but we are back, and we got some good topics. Football, some good stuff to talk about, but most importantly, we got one of my guys here join me today. He's a student, sports media student at Southeastern Louisiana. Met him over the summer internship. Jules Dormain, welcome in, my guy.
Hey, thanks, Zach. Thanks for having me on the show. You know, it's super cool to be able to get to do this with you. Obviously, we did our little thing over this summer where we had a little pregame show. So now this is kind of like the part two of the Zach and Jules saga.
Yeah. Finally coming to a little bit fruition with a little nicer of a setup.
Yeah.
You know, me and Jules worked for a small little summer league baseball team over the summer, and I don't know how I want to put it, but you know, it was definitely a lot of our on our own stuff. So yeah, we're back in our respective locations, and we can get this done a little bit. Yeah, Jules. I mean, I said a little bit in the intro, but will you just kind of tell the people a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I'm a senior at Southeastern Louisiana University. Obviously, I know a lot of your audience probably not going to know where that is, but it's down in South Louisiana around Hammond, which is about an hour away from New Orleans for the people that are know the big cities. And I'm actually the assistant student sports director at our TV channel. My major is mass communications, but I have a concentration in sports communication. So doing a lot of like video editing. I even do a little bit of announcing, you know that. And I mean, I just I do it all. I do anything from on camera, behind camera, editing. Like I kind of just have to do it all. That's what we do here.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, Jules, listen, we got a lot of fun topics, a lot of stuff going on. So I say let's get right into it, right? A couple breakdown stuff, couple questions we can talk and debate about. But let's start with what I normally start with. College football. Obviously, we're in full swing going into week 13. A lot of really good matchups coming in. And I know, you know, you're an FCS guy. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But kind of looking at some of these top 25 matchups, I just want to talk about them with you and kind of bounce them off your head and see what she got. So first up, ranked OU taking on a ranked Mizzou. OU, listen, I'm an OU hater as an OSU student. I have to be, but they've been hot. They've proved me wrong a couple times. What do you kind of think about these two teams?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that looked really good at the beginning of the year with John Mateer, and then, you know, he misses a couple of games, and then they don't look as good. But then they come out and make a statement last week and beat Alabama. But don't sleep on Mizzou either, because they got that running back. He actually transferred from a school here in Louisiana, ULM. I mean, he's a dog. So I think it's going to be a good matchup. I do think OU will come away with it. But, I mean, if Mizzou can get that ground game going and really control the pace of the game, OU might have some trouble.
Yeah. Mizzou, I feel like has been in a lot of games. They've been in them, you know. They might not have taken them, but they've been in them. But also, I do another show for a class, and we do pick'ems each week. And I've strongly picked against OU the past 2 weeks versus Bama and Tennessee, and it's not gone well for me. So, yeah, I don't know, but no, OU, as long as Mateer's healthy and he can figure it out, they should be okay. They should be.
Yeah, I agree.
But okay, next one, kind of a smaller one, but a sneakier one. SMU Louisville. Louisville kind of has been bouncing in between being ranked, not ranked, but kind of that general area with those solid ACC teams. And then SMU, was it Miami that they just beat? Who they just had a huge win like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me look it up.
I think it was Miami. Because I was on the road, I was in Kansas, and I remember watching
Yeah,
that
they
game.
beat Miami by 6 in overtime.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously they're not the playoff team they were last year, but obviously they kind of showed they saw some giddy up with it.
Yeah, I think I actually really like SMU in this matchup. I mean, SMU beat Clemson. We know Clemson's not as good as they used to be, but I mean, that's still a quality win. They beat Boston College, who Boston College has looked pretty good in some of their games this year. I know their record doesn't say it, but they played Georgia Tech really close. Georgia Tech's been a good football team this year. and they lose by 1 point to Wake Forest. Wake Forest also a pretty good team, but Louisville, I mean, their quarterback, he's a veteran. He's been in college football for a long time. He knows what he's doing, and they Louisville just coming off of a loss against Clemson. I think this will be their chance to kind of bounce back, get some more momentum, and because if they lose this one here, it'll be a 3-game losing streak for Louisville, and that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, crazy because both teams are 7-3. So two of the three losses for Louisville have come in this past week. Yeah, I mean, 2019 to Clemson, 29-26 in overtime to Cal. So yeah, it's not like they're struggling per se. Obviously, you want to be crushing teams, but they're in tight matchups. I don't know. Jennings, like you said, he's been in the league for a while, so that'll be a good one. Both 7-3, both kind of on that edge of like could be fighting for a spot in their conference. It might be kind of interesting. So you mentioned Georgia Tech, and they're taking on Pitt. Pitt had you a real rough game versus Notre Dame. But with the
Yeah,
game
yeah.
day there, all that stuff, but it kind of fell flat. But both kind of similar situation, right? Both teams have been really good, bouncing between being ranked, being not ranked. Georgia Tech, everyone was like, "Hey, they're the favorites." King is from A&M gonna kill it, and they started like it, but they've just kind of plateaued a little bit, I'd say, recently. So I think that's going to be another really good one.
Yeah, Pitt, I mean, they've shown this year that they can score a lot of points. I mean, first game of the year, they put up 45 points. They only lose by 7 to Louisville. They beat Florida State. They're putting up 30, 50 points. I mean, I know they just had a bad week last week against Notre Dame, but they're putting up 30 plus points in every single game. And Georgia Tech obviously ranked. I mean, Georgia Tech has been really good this year, survived a really close one with Boston College, like I talked about.
Yeah.
And but they also did lose to NC State 2 weeks ago, but that was another just shootout. I mean, both of these teams can go out there and score, and I think Georgia Tech, I mean, they've got a dark horse for Heisman at QB. Like their QB is really really good, and I don't know. I think this game won't be like the Notre Dame game. I think this is going to be another high scoring. That it's just going to be whoever can score more points in this matchup with Georgia Tech and Pitt.
Yeah, I guess I was kind of wrong. I had seen the NC State loss 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's." I pushed them to the side, but that's their only loss right now. So
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
they're still hot, and like you said, a good beat against Boston College. So yeah, that'll be a really good one. I agree. Haynes King leading in rushing yards and in passing yards. Uh, that's a dude that you want to talk about being able to thrive at like a smaller school after
Yes.
struggled at A&M, had some injuries, but bigger stage, and now you get to kind of go be you. Like it's
Yeah,
pretty
no.
nice.
I mean, that's how college football used to be if you think about it. Like before the transfer portal was as like everybody just moving around, going make money. Like you'd have a guy who would, maybe struggle at a bigger school and then he would move down and he looked really good. I think TJ Finley, honestly, I know
Yeah,
he's a little bit more recent, but he's a good example of that. I know he's jumped around to 100 different schools, but he didn't play well at LSU, and then he goes to Auburn, also doesn't play great. Then he goes to Western Kentucky. I mean, he's lighting it up, throwing like crazy over all teams. I mean, we know that's what Western Kentucky's known for,
yeah,
but like I think that's college football in my opinion. Like if you're struggling at like a bigger atmosphere, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad player, right? There's still somewhere where you can go and shine. Somebody's going to be able to find your strong suits, and maybe all you need is a little bit less pressure and you can actually thrive.
And I also just think there's so much. I mean, not only less pressure on them, but like I feel like back in the day was the worry of like, well, I'm not going to be seen if I go to these smaller
Yeah.
schools. But I mean, guys are getting drafted from everywhere. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
FCS and mid majors. Like it's so much less of a factor. I feel like now, if you're thinking about going to the next level. So that
Especially since the Senior Bowl and things like that include
yeah,
like FCS, and so like you can get a lot of notoriety. I mean, I think obviously, I mean, there's still FBS, but like Harold Fannin from last year, I mean, going to Bowling Green and getting
Yeah.
drafted. Like, I mean, you can pretty much go to any school in the nation, and if you're good enough, you're going to get drafted. Guy actually hailed from my school,
Hmm.
Southeastern. He went to his name's Gage Larvadane. He transfers to Miami, Ohio. Then he goes to South Carolina. He didn't get drafted, but he got signed as an undrafted free agent and has played in some games for the Browns this year. So, I mean, there's really opportunities pretty much anywhere you go in the country.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Makes me think of, oh, I don't remember his name, but there was an O lineman who was at like a D2 school, and he got
Mm-hmm.
invited to the Senior Bowl, and there a clip went viral of them. They were practicing, but he was just, I mean, handling like an
Oh
SEC.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was the guy last year. It was with Shamar Stewart, right? Like he
Yes,
absolutely bowled
yes.
through Shamar Stewart. Yeah, I know. I remember the clip that you're talking about. I don't remember the O lineman's name, but I do remember what you're talking about.
But yeah, like you said, Senior Bowl, that's a perfect example. Okay, two more games that I want to hit on for college football. Another big ranked matchup, number 7 Oregon taking on, I think they're 15 now, USC. Man, I mean, USC is a team that, you know, they lost Notre Dame earlier in the year, but they've just kind of continued to slowly rise. I feel like it's such a weird year for them because normally USC is a big like flashing lights, talk of the town team. But I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
this year they've just kind of handled their business and had some big wins. I mean, beat Nebraska, who's been honestly really solid. Iowa, Michigan, so they've been really good. But then it's also Oregon, who's Oregon, and it's handled business all but one game this year.
Yeah, the thing that I will say about Oregon, I think they've been pretty up and down this year. I mean, if you look at some of their games, I mean, you're beating Rutgers by 46, but then you play Iowa and only win by 2. We know Iowa, they're good at defense. Like that's their thing. That's what they pride. They are nitty gritty. Like that's their football. But I mean, if you're Oregon, you got to go out there and you got to dominate and play your football. You can't be playing down to the level of some of these teams. I mean, you get good wins against Minnesota and Wisconsin. And I mean, they've shown Dante Moore. Dante Moore has looked pretty good this year. I mean, he was in Heisman talks at the beginning of the season before their loss. And but I think Oregon's been pretty wishy-washy this year, and I think USC can really capitalize on that. If Oregon plays down to USC's level and USC can really get it going, I think USC could definitely come out with a win against Oregon.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think this is the test for Dan Lanning, especially we're getting closer to playoff football, and so also it's funny you mentioned the win against Wisconsin, 121-7, still not crazy, and that makes me think of that's a win against a Wisconsin team who lost to didn't they lose like Miami of Ohio? You see that
Yeah,
recruit
yeah,
who
yeah.
decommitted, and they said why? He said I just can't. They had 2 losses to like. Yeah, he's like, we lost to Miami of Ohio. I can't. I said, okay, or they barely beat him or something like that. But uh, that was funny. So yeah, that'll be a really good test. And then the final one, a little Big 12 action. BYU Cincinnati. I don't know how tapped in you've been to the Big 12. Obviously, it's my conference, but this is a really sneaky one. BYU, I know, seems like the favorite, 9-1, 11th in the country, but Cincinnati, they're on a 2-game skid and they've struggled a little bit recently, but they kind of are that type of team that can kind of turn it around or upset you. Sorsby has been really good this year, not to take away what BYU's done at all, but it's on the road. It's going to be a really good test for them to see if they can, I think, kind of hold their own and kind of really state their dominance, I'd say, in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really been too tapped in with watching the games, but I've been keeping up. And crazy fun fact, real quick. So I'm in a Pick'ems league with a lot of my friends,
Yeah.
and until I forgot to do one week, I was in the top 99.9 percentile for Pick'ems in college football this year. My bracket was ranked number 903 out of over like a million or something like that.
Dang,
And
Jules.
yeah, so I've been cooking with the pick'ems, and Cincinnati's been in there a couple of times. So I've been looking at them, and I really do like Cincinnati, but I think this BYU team is just a little bit too good. They're a little too athletic. That cat that they got at quarterback, the freshman wearing
Bear.
the statement number 47. I mean, he's looked really good all year long. I really like his game. I like how he does things untraditionally, and he's one of those guys that can put the team on his back at any moment. And when you got somebody like that, uh, you know, in these closer games or these hostile atmospheres, I mean, he can really step up and just say, "I'm better than everybody else on this football field."
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. All right, I do have to stick with college football right here a little bit because I want to talk about it, and I want to get your opinions on it because I have very strong opinions on it. We're
Hmm.
getting in what I call just kind of the SEC easy week. SEC, I
Yeah.
feel like, is one of the only conferences that has a non-con game built in to the end of their season pretty much. And so I mean this week, we talk about some of these huge matchups, and we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs. And then you see A&M play Samford, Georgia play Charlotte, Bama play Eastern Illinois, and LSU play Western Kentucky. Which that one's kind of solid, but anyways, I don't like it. I really don't like it. I think the SEC has so much talent and so many good teams that we're getting to this point where every game feels like it really matters, especially for those teams on the edge. And you almost kind of have to give them the bye week or the benefit of the doubt when they get to play these easy teams.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I growing up in Louisiana, obviously, like ton of LSU news, ton of LSU fans, and I mean, I go to Southeastern obviously, and I'm a Southeastern fan. Like I love Southeastern sports, but I still keep up with LSU football, and like I keep up. It's almost impossible not to, like living in the state. Like I'm
Right.
sure you go to Oklahoma State, you hear about Oklahoma news all the time,
Yeah.
and it's a even way more of a thing here because we're not FBS, we're FCS. So like nobody's thinking about Southeastern football. But so I'm obviously pretty like well versed in the SEC and things like that. And I think personally, I think this is pretty stupid to do. Like I just don't agree with, you're having all these games, and the SEC is always talking about we're the best conference, we're the best conference. Okay, go and play a harder team. If you're gonna I get it if you want to take a break from, a non-con game, but we shouldn't be playing teams like Charlotte, Eastern Illinois. I mean, Western Kentucky, they're a little bit better. I'll give LSU that one. But like go schedule a Cal or go schedule
Yeah.
like somebody like that. Like this win means almost nothing for whenever people are looking at your strength of schedule and things like that. Anyways, if you're gonna win a game, and if you're gonna boast about how dominant your conference is, go prove it every year. Go play one of the better teams from another conference and show that you really are one of the better teams. And I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially with like a lot of midseason rivalry games, and then you just kind of get one of these like weird lull games that don't matter. Nobody's going to be in Death Valley, nobody's going to be there. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But on the flip side, for the other teams, I mean, they're making a check, they're coming in, and they're
Yeah.
making some money. So I'm sure Sanford's loving getting to go into to Kyle Field and rake in a few bucks and, just hope that nobody on their team gets hurt at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I think yeah, I think I'm fine with the matchups itself, but I think what bugs me so much is where it is in the season. I mean,
Yeah.
other than rivalry week, I feel like no other conference has non-cons this late into the season.
Yeah. No.
Unless I'm not sure, but I don't think so. And
Yeah.
so
No, I think you're right.
yeah, and so even though I agree it's stupid in general to be playing this low of teams when you're in Alabama and stuff, a bunch of schools do it, right? And that's fine. You
Yeah.
you make the agreement, you make the check, and it's good. But yeah, I think I don't see any reason for it to help you. I mean, like you said, it's an injury risk for your players, even if it's a bad team. It's another ball game that you could get injured in. That's just how it every game is. And
Mhm.
then yeah, you're okay. I mean, is it just because you want a bye week? Like I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah,
So
I mean the only thing I could think of is like I most teams do this like in the beginning of the season, get some wins under your belt before you get into your conference games. And I mean the SEC plays a couple of those games at the beginning of the year, but I mean I just putting it so late in the season, it almost like it can cause your next game after this almost to be a trap game because
yeah,
like you get so confident with what you did last week, and maybe your offense two comes out at halftime, so your offense one doesn't have as many reps as they normally would, and then I just feel like you're just like opening up for some mistakes to happen the next week because your guy's got a big head or whatever the situation may be.
Yeah. Last little thing about college football. I just gotta say, did you see the Army Navy uniforms?
No,
Because
I'm gonna look them up right now.
yeah, a
I
little live
live
reaction.
reaction.
The Navy helmet might be the cleanest thing I think I've ever seen. It's a map, but it's like a map like clipped on. It looks like it's like on a wall. I don't know. I love doing new jerseys every year for a rivalry game.
Oh yeah, no, this looks sick. Yeah,
Army's
dude, the
Army's
like
got
the
script.
ship helmet. Yeah, dude, that is sick. I
I just
love the Navy Army like rivalry. Obviously, goes back super far, and like yeah, the fact that they do come out with a new uniform every year is super sick.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I love that helmet.
Dude, it's so clean. I always feel like we need, and maybe you don't need to come out with a new jersey every year, but I feel like some of the biggest rivalries maybe need jerseys for like that game, like the Holy
No,
War, the game, like Red River. Give me a game specific jersey. I think that'd be fire.
yeah, no, I think even some of the smaller rivalries, like I just feel like you should if you're playing for a trophy at the end of the day, I feel like maybe you have like a special helmet or you have a special, you got to have a special something, special jersey, special pants. Like I just feel like I 100% agree, especially college football, it's not like the
Right.
NFL where you're limited to you can only wear four different color combinations or something like that. So I mean, I feel like if we're already putting all this money into, athletic programs and stuff like that. I mean, that's just going to make you more money dropping a new like jersey. I mean, jersey sales would go through the roof. Think about how many people you would walk around seeing a Oklahoma State rivalry edition jersey
Dude,
like
if we had a
around campus
Bedlam
and stuff.
jersey, that would be insane.
Yeah.
The closest I've seen, and it's not that they made it for it, but it was when the Holy War. I think they did it this year too, but I know it made headlines last year. They basically did like a color rush where
Hmm.
BYU wore their blue, 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 and Utah wore their red, 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 and so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
felt like a color rush, and I like that at the very least. So I don't know. It's so super clean, super clean. Okay, keeping it with college athletics, but switching over, let's go to basketball. I know you're a pretty big basketball guy. I'd like to say.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I'm
Indeed.
if for my man listen fans know that I've been trying ever since my co-host Steve. He was a huge basketball guy, and so I'm trying to get into it. But obviously, college hoops was just started, and the season's getting underway. And man, I just we don't have to deep dive, but already some great matchups, and really I feel like especially on the inside. Uh, it really feels open. I mean, just yesterday, Bama has a huge 4 point win over Illinois. Arizona, UConn is crazy. It just feels like there's a lot of good matchups and a lot of both ways this year. I feel like so far from the outside perspective.
Yeah, so actually you talked about that Bama and Illinois game. I was eating out with some of my friends last night and we asked them to put that game on in the restaurant. So we were watching it. I love Peja Stojakovic, Andre
Mm,
Stojakovic. I think that's how you say his name. He goes to Illinois. I mean, he's number 2. He's an absolute dog. He was at Cal last year,
mm,
transfers to Illinois. Illinois has just got some ballers on their team. Like I really do love Illinois. They're whenever March Madness comes around and I'm making my 1,500 brackets that I make,
yeah,
Illinois is going to be going all the way in at least one of them.
yeah, yeah,
And but that says a statement for Alabama to be able to beat a team that I really like. And Alabama has looked really good. They got a lot of long athletes. That's kind of been Bama's thing for the past couple of years. Is we're going to get these big long athletes that can guard 1 through 5. We're going to switch everything and we're going to play the game to our own pace and we're going to chuck up a lot of threes. And so that's what Alabama's trying to do. Another team that a little bit disappointing to me.
mm,
I think Florida has been a little disappointing. I know they lose to Arizona. I know that
yeah,
Arizona's a good team, but you got the number 1 transfer portal in the nation. I mean, you get the guy from one of the Ivy League schools. I'm not sure. His last name's Lee. He's the
yeah, mm,
guard, and
okay,
he's really good. Then you get Boogie Fland from Arkansas. Like you get all these guys who are like, projected to go in the first round of the NBA draft, and you drop a game early in the season to Arizona, which Arizona has looked good, especially now that they beat UConn. But I just
Yeah.
feel like if coming off of a national championship, you got a lot of expectations, and whenever you lose to number 16 Arizona or whatever they were at the time, and it just doesn't look that good. And one of my friends is a Florida fan, so I hear a lot of Florida propaganda all the time, and so I just think that they might be a little overrated this year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the highest of expectations coming off, obviously last year. But then also, I mean, felt like you folded up getting the number one class. But yeah, so every part of it just feels disappointing, but it is a long season. We shall see. Okay, I want to know, who do you kind of have as your early season favorites, or obviously we're like what, 5 games in, but
Mhm.
who are you talked about really liking Illinois? Is there a couple other teams maybe that are really sticking out to you so far?
So, like, obviously, you have your big teams like UConn, Arizona. Your teams that are good every year. But a big team that I think could be really good this year, especially in the tournament, NC State. They got some good guys out there. Will Wade, obviously, coming from McNeese, going to NC State. I saw a lot of Will Wade dominance firsthand because he was in the Southland. I mean, it just wasn't fair at the end of the day. Like it really wasn't. We
Yeah.
were we were so happy whenever he finally left our conference because he's getting all of these guys that are coming here because he's Will Wade.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, they had Christian Shoemate last year. Obviously, they beat Clemson in the first round of the tournament,
Yeah.
and they even looked pretty solid against Purdue for some of that game. And so I think NC State could be a real sleeper this year. And then obviously Alabama again. I mean, they made it far in the tournament last year. I really do. I really do like Alabama as a team that could potentially win it all this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then real quick, inserting with my, of course, Oklahoma State update bias. Had a good game last night. Beat South Florida. South Florida is a really sneaky mid-major team. They're high in
Hmm.
Palm. So for the non-basketball fans, they were probably pretty upset. But for us being year two of a rebuild, it was intense. It was a high intensity game. GIA, our basketball arena, finally getting back to the energy it once had back when probably I wasn't even born, but
Yeah.
getting there a little bit. On the women's side, I mean, I don't know, it's pretty chalk so far. Oklahoma State wise, they were pissing me off last night, Jules. I'm not gonna lie. We lost to St. John's for our first loss of the season, who one's not good, but it was our first game on the road, and
Hmm.
the we were a tournament team last year. We lost in the first round. We're like the one upset loss. We were a 7 seed, lost to a good San Diego State team, but we couldn't win on the road. We just couldn't. We dominate in our own place. We dominate in Gallagher, Iowa, but we couldn't win on the road, and it seems to sadly be continuing this year. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, if I can sympathize with you a little bit, our women's team is completely different than it was last year. Literally, we had one returning player from last season to this season. We ran the table in the Southland, lost one conference game. I think, yeah, we lost in the conference tournament last year. But we only lose one conference game, and it's our last conference game. So obviously that wasn't good going into the tournament.
Yeah,
But so our coach, Ayla Gazzardo, she actually goes to McNeese in our conference, and
that's
our
brutal.
entire team transfers out and follows her to McNeese. So McNeese, literally, other than like our 3 or 4 graduating seniors, like McNeese's basketball team, women's basketball team, is our basketball team from
That's
last season.
that's insane.
Yeah, and so like literally we have a like I mean I'm not going to trying to be rude to these girls, but like a ragtag bunch of people because none of them have ever played a game together. Like they're all transfers from different schools. Only one girl decided she wanted to stay around from last season, and she didn't even get that much playing time last year. So it's not like she knows. And even if she did, we have a whole new coach with a whole new system. And I mean, we were memed like crazy against LSU because we lost by almost 100 points. It was 126 or 121 to 26. And so, I mean, this year is going to be rough for our women's team. Going from a team at the top of the conference, won the regular season last year, and then kind of fizzled out. But now we're, getting made fun of on a national stage. It's not looking good for us on the women's side either.
Yeah. When did you get the new head coach?
So we have Coach Dow. He was the head coach previously at Incarnate Word. We have him.
Okay.
He's been here pretty much since Gazzardo left. But I'm telling you, probably until about halfway through the summer, I don't think we had like enough eligible players to even have a team. And so it's just been rough. We sat down and talked to Coach Dow earlier this year. I didn't do that coach's show episode, so I don't really know, a whole lot of the ins and outs of what's really going on. But we've got a few impact foreign players who look to be pretty good. We got this one girl from Israel. She's been hurt a little bit, but she's looked good in the games that she's played. She didn't play in that LSU game, which I think is why we got smacked so hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a rough year for women's hoops, and I just hope that our men's team can put a little bit of life in Southeastern sports.
It's tough. It makes me think of our men going into last year because we didn't hire Steve Lutz, our new head coach, until like beginning slash during of the off season, and he made
Mhm.
it very clear. He's like, listen, especially going into this year, like recruiting for the next year starts at the end of the year prior. Like
Yeah.
a full off season of recruiting starts still during the season. So that's just such a tough thing. Even though he might have been there right when she left, still had to wait till she left to get a group together. So definitely tough, but that's why it's good you get to do some color for the men's side, not the women's side, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, keeping it with basketball. Like I said, you're my basketball guy. So we'll go pro and we'll talk a little pro NBA update. Also in the beginning of the season, I know my Houston Rockets looking strong, looking
Yeah.
starting hot, uh, going on a good little run. We don't have to talk about the Pelicans. We don't have to if you don't want to,
Nah, I
or we
mean,
can.
we got to be, sports, you got to talk about the good and the bad.
Yeah,
I will say a little something about my Pelicans, I like Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears a lot. I think we did a good job drafting this year. It's just unfortunate. I mean, I've been off of the Zion train for so long, and as a fan, I'm honestly so frustrated with our front office because I was a huge believer in Brandon Ingram, and we trade him away. And guess what? Not a single player that we traded for Brandon Ingram is still on our roster. Yes, Kelly Olynyk was included in the Jordan Poole trade that we did in the offseason, but like we could have pretty much thrown anybody in there. Kelly Olynyk was just a filler. Bruce Brown walks after the season's over, and now it just feels like we gave Brandon Ingram to another team for free for no reason, and
yeah,
like it just sucks. And Jordan Poole hasn't got a whole lot of play time. I mean, I am happy that we just fired Willie Green. I loved Willie Green as a person. I think he's a great person,
yeah,
but some of his rotations and things were just really, really questionable. And it's like, I mean, we've got guys like Herb Jones. We've got a lot of talent on our team. We
yeah.
got Trey Murphy, who's a budding star, in my opinion. And we've got Zion. We've got Jordan Poole now. And like he starts bringing Jordan Poole off the bench early. And it's like, why are we starting? Like, let's be real. Why are we starting Jeremiah Fears over Jordan Poole? Like, I don't care how inconsistent he's playing. Jordan Poole, I mean, he's proved that he's a scorer in this league, and there's just been a whole lot. And the other day, I saw a edit of Darvin Ham in a Pelicans like outfit, and I swear, if we hire Darvin Ham, I'm switching to be a full time Orlando Magic fan. I no more Pelicans. If I'm going to be on the Paolo Banchero train for the rest of my life. Like I, if we hire Mr. Hands in Pockets, Darvin Ham, like I'm being so for real, I'm dropping my fandom.
That's so funny. That's so funny. I do have to do a quick NBA timeout. We're not talking MLB today, but we're talking about trading people, and I just have to say, from my Astros heart, I'm so sad. We traded away our like two-time Gold Glove utility player to save like only $4 million, and it made me be pissed off. Anyways, uh, but yeah, no, I mean, well, I wish you the best of luck in Orlando. No, but Thunder's still dominating like crazy. Yeah, so Wimbian's first have looked really good. Mavericks have been kind of disappointing for what they were hyped up to be. And then I know Halliburton's hurt, but the Pacers have looked abysmal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start with the Mavericks because I think we've been talking about the Mavericks a lot just here at Southeastern, especially because how much hype was around Cooper Flag and all that. And yeah, I just actually saw something the other day on ESPN or Shams. I don't remember which one it was, but the Mavericks are now open to trading Anthony Davis because they're not in really playoff. They don't think they're going to be a playoff team this year. And I mean, I would agree. They've dealt with a lot of injuries, and you've got Kyrie on your roster who can't play until probably February. So you were really hoping that Cooper Flag could come in and, bridge this like gap while you're waiting for your second star player really to get back. And I mean, Klay Thompson has looked horrible this year. I mean, he just honestly probably needs to retire. And yeah, so I mean, if you're the Mavericks, I think if you can get a couple of young guys from a team, for Anthony Davis, maybe a pick or two. I don't really know where Anthony Davis would go if I'm being 100% honest. Like a couple of teams pop into my mind. Maybe the Celtics this year if they want to try and like compete
Yeah.
without Jason Tatum, because he's going to miss most of the year. Other than that, really, like I can't think of too many places where he would go and fit. I mean, if you want to throw a bag, the Cavs, if they really want to go all in and try and compete,
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I like
because
Mobley, but you need the depth.
yeah, and well, you could have Mobley and Anthony Davis on the floor at the same time, and it would literally be, in my opinion, a better Jarrett Allen, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
Jarrett Allen's already a pretty good defender, especially in the post, and I think Evan Mobley's just, I mean, one defensive player of the year. I mean, he's a really good defensive player, and then you just get Jarrett Allen with more offensive upside. And I think it would take a decent bit. You would probably. I mean, if I'm Dallas, I'm asking for Darius Garland in that trade. There's no way that
Yeah.
I'm trading Anthony Davis and not getting Darius Garland. But if you can keep Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Anthony Davis, and then I mean you still got shooters around them with Sam Merrill and Max Strus whenever he comes back from injury. I mean I think that could be a pretty decent landing spot. And it would be kind of funny because Anthony Davis played with LeBron in LA, and then he kind of goes back to his roots and goes and plays in Cleveland. I think it'd be a little fun story.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, moving on now, NBA to NFL, keeping it in the pro sports world. NFL, another week 12, getting closer and closer. Come playoff time, I just want to kind of get your general feels. I mean, my Texans, by the time this comes up, will have played last night. They probably lost because we're inconsistent. We have Davis Money Mills at quarterback.
Hey, big money
No,
Mills.
don't. No, just no. Colts Chiefs. What a weird, like, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that that game was going to have any relevance to me, I said BS. Like,
Yeah, yeah. The
and
Colts
it's
have been the biggest surprise of the season.
and it's the fact that that game, like, the Chiefs are what, 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Chiefs aren't even that good, but no, Colts are the biggest surprise. Steelers, you know, no, did it announce, is Rodgers getting surgery? Is that what it was, or no? There's
Yeah,
some talk.
I saw something. I don't know if there's been an official report, but he was like seeking a second opinion or something like that. It was like his wrist, right?
Yeah. Mason Rudolph went in and won that game. Former pro poke, go Pokes. But I mean, it's been just an interesting year, man. Chiefs, not Chiefs, Colts dominating the Patriots. Drake May, 9-2,
Oh, dude,
kind of a
I love Drake May. Drake May, and then we were talking about the Colts a minute ago. Jonathan Taylor. I mean, those are
yeah,
my two guys. I know Matthew Stafford's been having an amazing year
yeah.
as well for the Rams, but like two guys that I think that really deserve most valuable player. Like if
I
you
like the way
take
you
them
said it because
off
we have the same mindset.
if you take those guys off of the team, like I guarantee you, those teams are nowhere near as good as they are. I know Daniel
Yep.
Daniel Jones has looked really good this year, and but he's shown flashes of his old self. Same thing with Sam Darnold. I mean, those things like don't really leave a player, right? But Jonathan Taylor, I mean, through 12 weeks has over like he's averaging like 6 yards a carry or something like that, and he's got like 13 touchdowns. Like you can't. I'm so fed up with the MVP being a QB award. Like I've got Drake May as my QB pick for MVP, but Jonathan Taylor is my pick for MVP. I mean, he's been a dog. He's on a couple of my fantasy teams this year too, so I've been getting all the greatness from Jonathan Taylor. But yeah, I think that honestly, those two are like the top guys at their position in the league this year.
My MVP pick is Tyler Shuck.
Oh,
No,
all right.
uh, no, but I agree, and that's why with the Major League Baseball MVP, I disagreed so much that I thought it should have been Cal Raleigh over Aaron Judge because Mariners don't make it without Cal Raleigh. Judge and the Yankees probably could have made it without each other. Same thing here. Like, yes, I love Matthew Stafford, and he is having an unbelievable year. I think the Rams would be okay without him. Like,
Yeah, I
if they
100% agree. Like
so Jonathan
their
Taylor and
offensive
Drake
weapons are
May,
insane.
yeah, those two are absolutely killing it. So yeah, fun week, man. Fun week. We're starting to. Oh, I forget. There's 18 weeks now. So I was going to say starting to wind down, but still a good amount of games left. But
Yeah.
playoff pictures starting to get set, and things like that starting to people starting to stretch. Holding on versus thriving. So
Yeah, and
we
my
shall
Saints
see.
are nowhere near that playoff picture. It's just a really bad year for my sports teams. Like
Yeah,
the
it's
Saints looked really bad.
it's funny that like I said, I had my co-host Steve Spears for all these years doing this show. He graduates. It's funny that my first guest since he's gone is another Saints fan.
Oh, he's a
Uh,
Saints fan. Yeah,
yep,
who dat? Let's go.
yeah, huge Saints fan, and just like him, I get to bully you about them being bad. So great
Yeah,
time there, but no, it's definitely rough, and don't worry, I get to find solace too with my struggling Texans this year. So
yeah.
okay, keeping it with football, going back to college, I just want to talk to you about this coaching carousel, man. Finally, kind of feels like we have our first move, our first chess piece gets placed on the table with James Franklin going to Virginia Tech. And man, I gotta say, what a good spot for him. Good spot for him. I think that's a great guy to get for Virginia Tech's aspect. I mean, you want to talk about just for, in my opinion, the textbook coach for like a middle of the road to lower team in a big conference. It's James Franklin. I mean, I watched his press conference. I was fired up, and I'm not even a Hokie fan. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect spot for him.
Yeah, I think I honestly don't know if I heard too much about Virginia Tech obviously whenever he got fired. Like I was hearing all these big name schools of potentials that he could go
Yeah.
to, and but no, I 100% agree. I think Virginia Tech is a really good place for him to go. There won't be as much expectations coming out. You won't be preseason ranked number 2 every single year, and you can kind of start to write off that narrative of teams that you're a coach of teams that couldn't perform. Now you can kind of go and you can turn around a program and maybe even try and pop into the top 25 playoff pictures, things like that. And just because it's James Franklin, I mean, he's going to be able to get some good recruits there.
Oh yeah. 100%. That was one of my favorite things he said the minute I got hired, I called every commit we had. I called every recruit in the state of Virginia, and now I'm gonna meet with our current players because they're the biggest recruits we have to get. So I just think he has a great mindset. I mean, it'd be very easy for a coach like that who was at a Penn State for so long to be like, oh, okay, I'm taking a step down at Virginia Tech, whatever. But he is a great mindset. Talked about how grateful he is and just not taking advantage of, not what's it called, not taking the situation for like granted, basically,
Yeah.
and I think, yeah, I think he's a perfect fit, but still so much questions. I think we're getting into the time of when we're going to start seeing the ball roll. I think bowl week will be kind of your magnum opus per
Yeah,
se,
yeah.
or the start of it at least, between all these jobs. LSU. I mean, you're a Louisiana guy. You talked about it, obviously, SCLA first, but you're born in LSU country. I
Yeah,
kind of want
yeah.
to hear your thoughts on maybe that job.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm from right outside of Baton Rouge, so like again, a lot of my family's LSU fans, things like that. One name that has kind of been interesting to me. Let me actually look up exactly what his name is, but it's the Tulane head coach.
Yeah,
He's been kind of tied. Yeah, John Sumrall. He's
yeah.
been kind of tied to LSU, and I mean, Tulane's looks pretty good the past couple of weeks. They've been on fire. I follow a lot of like Louisiana in general sports pages, so I see Tulane news, I see some other teams news, and yeah, so he I don't really know too much about him, but I think that if they want to go and get a guy that necessarily isn't the big splash hire, because I think that's what they were trying to do with Brian Kelly, and I didn't like the hire to begin with, and like
Once I
it's
heard the
just not
accent,
yeah, it's just it's not SEC football. Like
yeah.
from Notre Dame to LSU, I just never thought it was really going to work. But this guy, I mean, he's from the South. He's from Alabama. He knows the culture down here, and I think honestly, whenever you're hiring a coach, finding people that can just connect with the players and connect with the fan bases and things like that. I think that ultimately is going to get you remembered better as a head coach than it is I won X number of games, because X number of games is good, sure, but if you can win games and your community loves you and you can get these recruits in, especially now with NIL and all that stuff, I mean it's a lot harder, but if you can do all of those things, you're going to be remembered so much more at a university than if you just come for a couple of years, win a couple of bowl games, and then take a step up to the next level.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think staying in state would be great for them, and I agree. I think it's kind of not total BS, but I think it's kind of BS about. Don't get me wrong. I know the NIL era is so big right now, but there still is that aspect of the player to coach relationship and the
Mhm.
culture relationship. Like I know, some people could say, well, I'm getting the bag, it doesn't matter. Well, there's going to be a fine line, because guess what? There's still 18-year-old kids who, I
Yeah.
don't care how much money you're making. If you're depressed and you're not having a good time, you're not going to play football. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
going to be done.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree. I think that community aspect and how you relate to players, treat players matters. I mean, we talked about, there's so many reasons why Kelly wasn't a fit, but you saw it there with all those things and just how he treated people, from the video guy at the top of the thing to the Lacey family. I mean, it's just it is what it is, right? Like,
Yeah, and even the Brooks family, I mean,
yeah,
the guy who, had brain damage and like all kind of stuff. And then, I mean, I get it, it's a weird subject, and like, you're not gonna obviously, like, I understand, maybe removing his athletic scholarship or something like that, but as a human being, like as a person, like to not even reach out and make sure that the kid's doing okay. When this guy was a starting safety for your team, it's not like he was, a walk on. And honestly, I would argue that you should have the same attitude with the walk ons than you do your starters. So, like, I mean, that was just, I, not a big fan of Brian Kelly's character, not a big fan of his coaching style. But I think just like you said and I said, it is really important for at the end of the day, everybody needs to be a good person to be successful.
for sure. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think the chess pieces will start to get played as jobs start getting filled, and who can go where with what, with all these jobs from LSU to Florida, to South Carolina fired Beamer, right? Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, there's all these, and for OSU wise, I'll give my update on my carousel. I think I really like Eric Morris out of North Texas. I'm really a big fan of that.
Y'all don't
There's
want
been
Brian Kelly.
and what John Gruden. Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't think we get Zach. Robinson from the Atlanta Falcons, who's the OC right now. Just because he's a quarterback here, I don't think it's going to happen. I like Eric Morris out of North Texas, the USF guy. There's been almost too much talk recently with Golish about him being like,
Mhm.
no, I'm not going, where I think he's off the table. GJ Kinney out of Texas State. I really like the way he coaches. I also like, Colin Klein, the A&M OC, and the OU DC. So a lot of names. We'll see. Our school president said we'll know by the time Santa Claus comes to town. So we'll know before the new year, and it'll be very very interesting. Okay, keeping it with college, I'm actually going to skip over, come back to this one other topic. But we talked about culture still mattering. We talked about relationship with players still mattering. Another aspect of that to me is fandom, and the question of fandom still mattering. So I'd love to have this conversation with you. It's very prevalent right now at Oklahoma State. You have a one-win team, yet the stadium is still getting pretty full, up to 80, 85% capacity. Fans doing the no shirt thing, creating a wave around college football. We have these people dressed up as bananas, and well, that's a singular funny aspect. I think, you know back in the day it was talked about so much, of the sense of the fan bases and the atmosphere at these sports, not just football but all of it. And going back to the culture thing, with NIL, it's almost talked about less. But my question is, do you think that fandom and that level of support and atmosphere still can matter and affect just kind of the decision making and recruiting and all the above in college athletics?
Yeah, I think especially in your like arena sports, like
Yeah,
indoor things like basketball, obviously, I mean, it's the big one, but even like gymnastics, volleyball, things like that, like
wrestling.
your yeah, wrestling, like if you have those places that are going to be packed whenever you go there, it I feel like if I was an athlete, that would make me want to go play there more. Maybe, yeah, this school is giving me a little bit more money, but I'm going to have, a better opportunity and the people are going to love me if I go to this like school B. So I really do think that fandom is important. Going to such a small school and kind of like a commuter school and an FCS school. And like, obviously, a lot of people are not tapped in with our athletics. We don't really have a lot of fans unless it's a special game, which today actually or it's our last regular season football game. It's going to be the River Bell Classic, which is our rivalry against Nichols today. So
Yeah.
I expect to see a decent amount of people in the stands for that game today. But just from week to week, I mean, we're nowhere near getting 88 to like 85% capacity. Like it's just not the culture of Southeastern. So I would completely understand if an athlete was coming visit Southeastern and maybe they have an offer from a school like, unfortunately, McNeese, who they have people that go to their basketball games. Their arena is filled all the time. And if they come to Southeastern and maybe Southeastern's a little bit of a better team this year, but they're going to have more fun and be more engaged with at McNeese, and they choose McNeese. So I think that fandom is extremely important, especially whenever you get down to some of the smaller levels and guys who aren't necessarily going to Power Five schools. At that point, I think is whenever you really start to take in, will this place love me? Am I a right fit for this place? And obviously, I mean, we talked with the coaches, but that's obviously an important thing too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I think it goes back to that same sentiment I made about the culture and the coaching thing. I could be wrong. I'm not, a five-star athlete out of high school. Never was, never will be. But I really don't believe that it's all just about the money. Like money's becoming more of a factor, but like you said, it's so much more attractive and just seems so much more fun and engaging to go to a place that cares, that supports, that has fandom, has the atmosphere. And so I think it's talked about less for sure, but I don't see it not being a factor anymore.
I 100% agree.
Okay, I wanted to talk about this, but I guess I really don't have an angle or avenue to go with it. But I don't know. Maybe you have a thought or something with it. If not, we can just skip over it. But obviously, like you mentioned, you're at an FCS school. I'm at an FBS school, and I think that dynamic is so interesting, just in athletics and day to day and all the above. So I mean, I don't know. You obviously talked to me a little bit about talking about it. I don't know if there was we've hit on it a good amount with certain stuff. So I don't know if there was anything else I did not prep well for that one, but
Well, I mean, I just think that obviously, whenever you're at a smaller school like this, I mean, we just talked about the whole fandom thing. Fandom's not really big around here. Like you walk around Southeastern and you see LSU sweatshirts, you see Tulane sweatshirts, you see like the bigger schools of our state, you see them more prominent than you really do see Southeastern stuff. And that's something that like our branding and like marketing team and stuff at the university has really been trying to like overcome. Like it got to the point where I think my second or third semester here, Wednesday was like Spirit Day, and like if you wore your like Southeastern like gear on that day, one, they were walking around taking pictures of people and posting it on like social. So I mean, you would get that shout out. But two, you could get some free stuff at some of the things around campus. So like really like encouraging people to be, have a little bit of school pride. And then on like the athletic side of things, I think this is my first year at Southeastern where our football team has been pretty dang good. I mean,
yeah,
we've only lost one game. To Lamar. Well, one FCS game. I mean, we played LA Tech and LSU, so those those were
yeah,
not great games. But we've lost one FCS game, and it was to Lamar by 2 in a game where it just kind of felt like the refs honestly didn't want to win. Like
yeah,
I don't know what else to tell you. Like we miss an extra point or it was blocked or something like that. So it's 6-14 going in the fourth quarter. Like our defense is really good. Our offense has been good all season. It's struggling this game. We have penalties. Then we pull up a fake field goal, run for a touchdown. Like you don't see that much in sports, just in general. And I mean, it was like a 40-yard touchdown run. Our holder takes it all the way to the crib. We go for two, don't get it, and then we lose 14-12. But like our football team has been really exciting this year, and that's the only thing that I think sucks about going to one of these smaller schools, because I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people are just here to get their degrees. They're not really caring about, athletics and things like that. And like even some of my friends, they'll sit here and argue and trying to say that, Southeastern sucks or we're not good because we're not an FBS school or, we're not high D1. But like if you look at it for our level of competition, almost all of our sports teams are really good. I mean, our softball team beat LSU last year in the regionals,
yep,
and like our softball team has been historically good. Our baseball team has been really good in years past. We won the regular season last year in baseball. Basketball team normally does pretty good. We kind of fizzle out in the tournament my sophomore year here. We made it all the way to the championship game of our conference tournament, and we lost to no, Stephen F was, I think it was to UNO that year.
mm,
And so like our athletics are good here. It's just the culture here isn't built around our athletics. And I know that's not true for every FCS school, but it does suck a little bit. But I'm glad that I get to work, around our sports, and like I get to embrace it because I mean it is fun and it's a completely different level of competition. Like it's not like I'm turning on, an SEC football game. I get to see like reverse handoffs and throwback across the field screens and stuff like that. Like, when is Alabama going to pull out a fake handoff, turn around, tunnel screen to the other side of the field? Like, it just doesn't happen.
yeah, yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. Also kind of makes me just think of our internships, seeing all these community college FCS guys. Just it's not the highest level of baseball, but it's
Yeah.
scrappy and it's
And it's fun to watch.
yeah, absolutely. I love it. But yeah, it goes back to that culture thing, man. So that's good. I was happy to get your insight with that. Okay, let's wrap it up with our three normal topics. Jules, we got three going for us. We got pop culture. This is such a sports show that sometimes we got to mix in the pop to think you a little. We got the endless struggle. The struggle bus is around the corner. We got to see who's taking a seat on this week's ride. And then lastly, your man listen moment of the week, best part of your week, and best part maybe of your upcoming week. So we'll start with pop culture. I'll go first on this one. I watched the new Frankenstein movie on Netflix 2025, and it was incredible. Oscar Isaac, loved him in Moon Knight. He was the creator, Victor Frankenstein. Absolutely great performance. Jacob Elordi, while I'm not normally the biggest fan of him, he was the creature. He was Frankenstein, and he did just an amazing job. Very, the actual like origins of Frankenstein, the story is a very like emotionally driven and like psychology aspect of being undead and not being able to die and how that affects the creature, and they really tapped into that. So Mia Goth was in it. Christopher Waltz, love him in all those Nolan movies. Or Nolan, Tarantino, my bad. But it was honestly just really good. The score was great. The makeup and prosthetics they put on Frankenstein was really realistic, and just had a really good just emotional undertone that made you think a little bit. So really liked it. Just watched it on a whim, and it turned out to be a really good movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I did actually see it on Netflix though, and I did like Moon Knight.
Yeah,
The this like series show movie kind of thing. I don't know. They were all like an hour and 15 minutes long, but
right.
um yeah, I did like Moon Knight, so maybe I'd have to check it out. But for my, pop culture, I'm a big music guy.
Mm,
So Morgan Wallen recently just announced that he's going on tour for 2026. He has his list of cities out, and I don't really like a whole lot of country music, but I like Morgan Wallen's kind of blend between country and rap and pop and that kind of thing. So I might have to try and see if I can go to one of his cities and still the problem tour 2026. You might see Jules Dormain there. Who knows?
love it. Absolutely love it. Well, I think I hear it. I think it's coming around the corner. All right, man, listen, struggle bus. Jules, who's hopping on your struggle bus this week?
If I'm being honest, I'm gonna put myself on the struggle bus this
I've
week.
done it a few times.
It's the end of the semester, a lot of projects and stuff are due, and I've been procrastinating for so long. And like, I mean, it's just been kind of like this week, it's almost like the calm before the storm. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like I've had eerily nothing due this week. So I know that like these next few weeks are gonna be horrible. And I have not been using this time productively to get,
yeah.
these projects done. And I graduate next semester. So like I've got, I just got a lot of stuff I got to put together. So I'm putting myself on the struggle bus.
I like it. I like it. Well, I'm putting good old Mike Gundy on the struggle bus. Mike Gundy was fired a little over 2 months ago, hadn't made a single public statement, hadn't gone on camera, hadn't pretty much been seen other than like one photo of him at an event since his firing. And the first time we hear him speak is a cameo video. He goes back on Cameo, and our club hockey team paid him to basically promote buying tickets to Bedlam Hockey OU versus OSU. One, that's sad enough as it is, but oh my gosh, Mike, you look bad. He
Yeah.
looked he looked drunk. He looked like sleep deprived. He just looked rough, and he sounded rough. And I'll have to send you the video because it's just sad. It's just sad. I'm like, Mike, I don't know, Michael. It's go back to like ranching on your farm or something. You look lost,
Yeah.
and it was a rough thing to see. Okay, lastly, we'll wrap it up with our man listen moment of the week. I'll go first and I'll let you wrap up this episode. Man, listen, I got a couple things, man. One, we're heading into the Thanksgiving break from my school. So in a day or two, I'm going to be driving home, get to go go back to Houston, spend some time with the family, which is really good. On top of that, I've been doing a lot of social content on Twitter or X with a lot of the recap packages. I've been doing all the stuff I've been covering. I've low-key been popping off. Not gonna lie. Not
Hey, that's what we like to
the
hear.
I love that it's in my second to last semester. I got a semester left till I graduate. The OSU community finally sees my reporting. It's fine. I'm not upset, but no, yeah, I've been getting a lot of engagement with the OSU community for my stuff, and that's been really fun to see. And lastly, it's just seeing you and having you on the podcast. We called a couple, about a week back and scheduled this, and obviously had a great time this summer. You're my guy. I miss you. So happy to finally have you on this podcast, get to do this with you, and have my first guest episode of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it. Obviously, miss talking to you. I mean, hadn't really seen each other face to face. I know,
Yeah.
like we're still very, not face to face, but this is
Closest we got.
the closest we can get. And I really enjoyed, doing this. It was fun just to be able to, come on here and talk. So obviously, that's one of my moments of the week too, is just being able to come on here, talk sports, talk hoops. And obviously, I mean, we bonded over this summer. So just getting to do it with, one of my guys has been pretty fun. And then my, if I'm going to bring it more local to here, it's actually my last ever football broadcast is tonight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of a bittersweet moment, because I've been doing this for 4 years now. And, it's really cool that I get to do it for a really big game for Southeastern, because this game, if we lose this rivalry game, we probably don't make the playoffs. But if we win this game, we're not going to win our conference because we lost to Lamar. But we'll likely either share the conference title or be the first bid into the playoffs. So, I mean, this is a really big game, and it's really cool that this big game is like my final broadcast. But it does kind of, suck that it's all kind of, winding down. And I got to direct my first football broadcast earlier this season. So, I mean, I even announced my first football broadcast
Yeah.
earlier this season. I know you tuned in for a little bit of that. And,
Yeah.
it's just a full, circle moment for me. Like, I started on audio board and I've climbed all the way through the ranks. I've done just about everything that you can do on the broadcast, from replay to camera work to now on camera and switching the camera. So it's been really cool. And obviously the reason why we had originally scheduled to do this tomorrow, but I forgot that I'm actually going on a family trip tomorrow. So that's going to be really fun. Get to go see some of my family over in Florida, and then I'll be flying right back here and then going to Vegas
Yeah.
for Thanksgiving. So it'll be a fun time for me for all of that. So
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, for tonight, it's not going to be fun. It'll be fun, but it won't be fun. As someone who just covered their last game inside our football stadium as a student, and was in there for the last time as a student this past weekend. Yeah, it's definitely tough, but it's bittersweet. So, listen, you can follow Jules' social medias right down below, right there. But that's all we got for this episode. Jules Dormain, Zach Berger, man, listen. It's been a blast. We'll catch you next time, Jules. Thanks again for being on.
appreciate it.